Let's start, guys. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Shalom. So we're going to talk about, we are, following the teachings of Shulam, right? And the question that we need to ask after, what was the four factors or elements that constructs our DNA spiritually? Origins. Which one? Perception. That will be the third one. You're almost there. Yeah, perspective. Yeah. That's number 3. Number 2.
Correction, the developing of correction, path of correction.
Path of corrections. Yeah.
That's the one that comes from our parents.
Right. So we have an environmental one, right? We have one, the DNA from our parents. We have one, origins from our past lives and our karmatic energies. And there's another one, in perception, right? Those are the fourth one. Okay. So after talking about them, we understood that 3 of them we could not change. These things you cannot change. All you can do is perceive them different. And if perception is the key, and then we talked about the sheep who were the color white, right? They were predominant, big white, and then we had the ones who were spotted, who were the recessive gene that doesn't come out too much. But by perceiving in the story, the sheep, they're supposed to stop doing that, and it came back to white. So in those times, it looked like a miracle. Now we know that that's true. It's how you see things is how your dominant or recessive genes or genes are going to be. That we know now, right? So the way you look at things can give you diseases or can give you be healthy. How you see things, you can have a better relationships or you can have good relationships. Everything like that, food, right? Like how you see food, like I see vegetables not good for me. And I have a hard time with them to a point that I was explaining to somebody, I bought these pills, right? But they're like really extract of vegetables and extract of fruits, but they're really pure, right? At least that's how it was sold to me. And so I put them close to me in the morning so I can take them at night. If I leave them anywhere else, I will forget, right? So in the morning, I get up early, so it's dark. But I know where they are, and I open them, and I take them with me, right? So when I'm taking them, I don't see the color. There's some red and green. Greens are the vegetables, and red, but I can't see them. And when I get the green one, I want to throw up. The flavor is not vegetable until it gets to me, but it's not. There's no smell. But my body feels it because I'm used to that. As I eat vegetables, I couldn't eat it. So I'm not ready. In my predominant genes are still there. But what I'm saying is, your life spiritually is like that. There's some things that you don't want to do, things that are very hard for you, but you have to continue and continue and continue until you get used to it. And even though you might not really like it, you still can make the change spiritually. But the key is to have a better vision. Does that make sense? Like, be kind and compassionate to people that you shouldn't be by the nature of our animalistic humans that we are. But we have to force sometimes these things. So even though in our community we don't force anybody to do anything, Torah does forces you. Right? Yahshua says, don't be a hypocrite just to love the people that you like. Love your enemies, and then now we're talking. And everybody's like, I don't think that's a good idea. But that's Yahshua kind of like forcing the issue from recessive genes to go up to a dominant genes to go down. So we can change, but only we can change in the way we see things. So that was the idea. Any questions about that? Because that's what we did last week. So this week then Kabbalah says, so if it's perception the key to change, then what is true reality? Because we all look at things different here, right? Depends how you want to see it. I'm happy today. This could be a nice. The Kabbalists are going to talk a little bit about what did we say about reality. This is the question. Ready? All right. Yes, we're ready. Recall this chapter section on reality, how humans' perception is limited. People know only the reality that they perceive through their five senses. And what they experience is an internal copy of what's on the outside. What is it saying? Yeah. Your five senses are judging what you are. That's so true. It's your mirrors. They're really backwards. If you see the letters of your T-shirt, they're backwards. But why is your face doesn't look backwards? Because your reality of your five senses, you force yourself to see what you want to see. So the power of intention, right? We talk about intention, kavanah. What is the power of intention? What is the main thing about intention? Intention, from the word intent, to do, right, is through ego. It's your ego that is trying to force something you intend to do. But what the word kavanah, which is translated intention, means to allow things to be. Just allow it to be. Let it grow. Let it be. And you see that your intention of doing the right thing will allow you to do it. But you have to have that space. Five senses do not allow you to do that because you're quantifying. 2 times 2 is 4. What is this to do? And then you react to the 4. Right? But maybe it's a negative 4. And a 2 plus a negative 2 is a 2. It's not a 4. But I don't see the negatives, the positives. Because I'm limited to see if a number is positive or negative. I don't know if what's happening to me is positive or negative. And so I just, whatever I feel, I put the little plus or the little negative. But there's a big difference in the mathematical equation. Or is it? That's what the problem is. Right? We just, nobody here, including me and everybody, we have a hard time seeing these negative and positive things in our lives. But the key to it, right, as we're going to see here, is that there is something good called absolute good. That means, this is in Kabbalah, right, this is one of the terms of Kabbalah, very important, is that the force that we call Father in the Bible cannot harm you or give you anything that is negative in your life. Can't. It's not built that way, that force. It's like gravity. It's built in a certain way that doer cannot do. Does that make sense? So that means then that everything that is happening to me, it is positive, not negative. So let me see if I can do something here. I don't know why I get out sometimes, but Absolute is only in the upper worlds. We don't have absolutes here. There is no such thing as always. We get into trouble because of that, because we think that here there's things that are always the same and they're not. So this is the idea of absolute in this class. So let's say this is Yahweh, okay? This is Yahweh, right? And so Yahweh sends everything to us. This is me, or you, right? Receiving whatever it is. The way my five senses perceive it, it is plus, negative, plus, negative. We randomly do this. Honestly, I mean, there's some things that repeat in your life and you see it good sometimes. And it happens again the next day and you see it negative. You just don't remember it. But it's like plus, negative, that's how we see it. So if this force is not capable of harming you, but just to give you the best, the goodness of it, then the problem is that we look at this negative and then we decided that we need to talk to this force. And says, you know what? Were you so kind that, not to give me this one? That'd be nice, because, this is not a good thing. I don't know if you see it, but I seem to know more than you. So I would like you to change this. And this is what we do with prayer. And really, this is limited to my 5 senses. What I need to pray, which I need to pray, it is to say to this force, were you so kind to help me allow to see everything what it is? So when you get into these issues in your life, instead of trying to change it, you should be asking, can you change my lens, please? I'm not seeing it. It seems like we're going to drown here. Can you do something about it? But not change the goodness that you're giving me already, but that I can see it without my 5 senses. Because your 5 senses is captured with what? Time and space. You're stuck. Isn't that weird? When you're having a problem, the hardest thing is to wait. Because you're stuck in time. But what Kabbalah is going to teach me is to get away from these 5 senses and always look that the light cannot harm me. There is nothing He has given me to harm me. That I'm looking at it that way. It's like your child, 3-year-old, you go to Walmart. Well, you guys are more expensive. Target, you're going a little higher, right? Walmart is not for you guys. You guys are like Target and then Macy's, right? So you take the baby, he's 2 years old, he wants a car, and he has 10,000 cars at home, or maybe the toy is not good for him, it's too small, he can choke, and you tell him no. But that no is a yes. It's a yes to life. It's just no to the moment. And what if the child does? Well, he tantrums. And starts crying, and some good parents, spanks them. Dos, pam, pam. And then you're like, right? And then, but that moment for the child is so negative. But it's the best thing that happened to him. But his 5 senses are not going to do it. Right? So again, the upper force, we call it the upper force or the absolute good. Do you know why we call it absolute good? Why? Because there's a good with a bad. So there's a bad and a good. The bad only is for looking at the good, and the good is only to show you what is bad. Those are good and bad. They're not absolutes. They're just showing you, right? Like Lao Tzu would say in Tao, if I tell you you're beautiful, I just made somebody ugly. Because I'm comparing you with somebody else. Those are not absolute, because the evil could be good, and good could be evil, because they're showing each other. But there is something above them, which is the absolute good, has nothing to do with evilness. There's nothing. There's no harm. Because even when we love somebody, we harm them. We love them. Or like, think about a pet. You see some pets that, it's a dog, but it looks like a hippopotamus. Huge. And the guy, the owner is happy, I'm feeding him, but you're killing him. In the name of love. So that love is not that good, right? So that's what we want to get away from. So the idea now, as Shulam starts teaching here, is about really getting away from the 5 senses. Yes.
So would that be accepting with blind faith that everything that's happening to you is good and not questioning it? Is that what
No. No, because you're an active side of the light. You cannot be just saying whatever comes, and like sitting down under a tree, you see a snake coming. You go, well, God is good. It's coming. Oh, it's a black mamba. Oh, it's okay. You move. Right. So there is some active things that you must do, but you need to understand that the black mamba is not evil. That is there for a reason, Maybe for me to move, maybe for me to get away from there, right? Maybe that's the idea. So, for example, when Jacob went to see Esau, I don't know if you remember the story. Jacob went to see Esau, and he says, my brother wants to kill me. He has 400 men waiting for me, but he needs to see him. Then he designs something. This is where it's such a beautiful thing to be human, because you participate in the plan. It's not just you just like a robot just going left or right. It's like your passion goes with it. Like you are participating in the game, right? Like kind of like virtual reality. So this is what Jacob does. Jacob says, okay, he's going to kill me. If he kills me, I need to do something. First, I'm going to separate my kids. That way they're separated, he can kill them all. Then he says, I am going to pray to the light. Right? I need to see this the right way. And then third, he says, I'm going to send them gifts so that we don't have to go fight. But he was ready to fight. That's got to be you. Like, you lose your job. Of course, it looks negative in the moment. You have to plan these three things. How you're going to survive, how you're going to allow the light to do the things you're supposed to do. And third, how can you appease the reason that you are in the situation that you're in? But they're all good because you are participating in the plan. You know the story, right? The story is an interesting story in the sense that people think that he fought with an angel. He didn't fight with an angel. He fought with a man. Do you know who he was? He was Esau. Esau came in at night. And Esau wanted to kill him. And they fought with each other. Jacob, which is the weakest one, somehow he makes it. Yeah. Yeah. And so Esau, in the fight, he's upset with him because he took his blessing, right? The word Jacob means thief. That's why he changed the name to him. They make peace with each other. And he changed the name. So Esau gave the name Israel to Jacob. That's not a weird thing. When you fight with your ego, which is your strong man, you have to fight with him. And then he has to bless you so he can let you go. If not, your ego is always going to destroy the most things that you love. You have no idea how close we are to catastrophe in our lives all the time because of our egos. We just don't see the danger until it happens, and then life becomes something else. All right, let's continue reading here. Here we go. So then, the Kabbalist sixth sense, we talked about the sixth sense already, however, allows you to feel a whole new reality and make different decisions concerning the external environment, to open up different possibilities in your attitude toward the world in which you are part of it. So what is it? Do you remember what the sixth sense was that we talked about? You guys are really, the energy is awesome today here in this class. Say it again? Yeah, but what is it? How do we develop it? Did we talk about that? No? Giving is a part of the sixth sense, but it's not. Okay, so we'll talk about it. So maybe I'm jumping. Let's see. The wisdom of Kabbalah allows us to shift the attitude to the outside more readily. It allows us, for instance, to shift from being affected by a negative force that pushes us from behind into achieving rapid progress from the positive force that propels us forward. So what is it saying? When you want things on your time, it's a negative force. When you allow the positive force to take over, that's the power of intention. It's a feel. I don't know how to say it, but it's, if you knew who is close to you, you would not be worrying about anything. I know that it's hard to see it sometimes, but think about your life, where you are and how you get here. Really, at the end of the day, was you, or was a force that is always propelling you? It's just that we get very anxious because we want to see results, and in a negative is pushing from behind, and we're not ready for that. The other one propels. It's like we float toward it. That's the difference. So when you feel anxious, it's because you're pushing. Right? You're pushing where you're not supposed to be pushing. You allow things to be. That's just what seems to be the sixth sense. It is the power of intention.
What about when your anxiety manifests after something happens?
Okay, so here it goes. So remember I told you last week about losing the keys. Did I tell you about that one to you guys? Was it you guys? I saw about it's outside. Yes, I did, right? So in the light outside. So anxiety is like I'm in a dark room, I lose my keys, and I'm trying to look for them, and I can't find them. Right? But I'm really looking for them. And then I see that outside is light. And I go, I'm going to go outside. So you go outside and say, oh, there's light here. Let me look for my keys here. That's what anxious is. That's anxiety. You are looking in the wrong place. Or what is really happening to you. The event is outside. Your anxiety or whatever is happening is inside of you. And you and I and anybody else will, vamos a jurar. Right? We're going to say, it's outside. And you look outside and you look like a fool because there's no keys there. And the more you are outside in the light, which is the external world, the more your anxiety you'll get. But you were frustrated to begin because you couldn't find them inside. That's what you got outside. So you need to be propelled. You need to be the sixth sense. You're not using the five senses. Plus and negative, because that's quantifying things. You are seeing the whole thing just developing. Well, I can tell you this story. Helen is here, that doesn't let me lie. About maybe 10 years ago, I asked her, Helen, how much money we had to pay the rent? I think we paid like $12,000 in that place. And he says to me, well, I think we have $2,000. This is about 2 days before the rent. In this place, these people were evil. We will miss one day and not only will get fees, but we'll get kicked out. And I looked at her, and inside I was like, oh my God, right? But again, I sat down and I said, okay, we'll see what happens. That evening, somebody gets there. I don't even know who he is. He says, Rabbi, I was here, I don't know what, and I've been saving my tithes because, and I want to give it to you. He looked poor, okay? He didn't look that good. I said, tithes, All right, I said, thank you. Just put it right there. That's what I had to give. And he said, can you bless me? Yeah, sure. So I bless him, right? He goes. And I had the envelope, and then you were still there. And so I opened it, and in cash, $10,000. And I told Helen, go and pay the rent. But imagine, and then we've been missing money sometimes, 10, 1,000. But then I say, wait a minute, why are we worrying about these things? But again, it's just a thing you push or you allow the light to propel. Can't fight things like that. It's hard, but it's possible. So here we go. So he says, the wisdom of Kabbalah allows us to shift the attitude to the outside more readily. It allows us to, for instance, to shift from being affected by the negative force that pushes us from behind in achieving a rapid progress from the positive force that propels us forward. After all, Kabbalah reminds us that the Creator is benevolent. That's the absolute force that I told you of goodness. And wants to give us pleasure. And that is his only thought. It turns out that all we need to do is change our perception of reality. And the world will be united and unified under the Creator's one thought to do good to his creation. Does that make sense to you the way I'm explaining that? Is that okay? Any questions about that? Because this is the key to...
Perception, the individual's perception to the good. And we change within ourselves, it's good.
For example, if I knew my mom really loved me, sounds weird, but if I really knew that my mom really loved me, then I can go to her and tell her whatever I need to tell her, that she's going to find a way to help me. Even if he has to scream to me and has to, break 2 brooms on me. Right? Because somehow I know that my mom loves me. But we don't have that. Most of us in our relationships, we do not truly believe these things. And with the Creator, less. So it's always that, oh, maybe I'm not going to get this time what I need. Okay, so they call this the strongest of all powers. Here it goes. Kabbalists assert that one is where one's thoughts are. So one is where one's thoughts are. What is that? What is that saying? What is that saying? One is where one's thoughts are.
I think your reality is what you believe it is.
You think about.
Because you can ask me, what do you think about my reality, not yours?
Yes.
Oh my God. Thank you.
You're really thinking very positive today.
It's actually,